42. Chef Andres, world celebrity cook, restaurateur, and author, is by no means old or fading in ambition or business goals, but his big problem is his love life. When all over the world war, poverty, and famine explode, so often together, he and his big crew, also obsessed with mercy and care, rushed their world's central kitchen deep into disaster: Haiti, Ukraine, hurricanes, earthquakes, and now Gaza. For 6 months, he and his group of cooks and workers managed to stay safe in the middle of savage IDF-Hamas war, while 200 other organizations' relief aid workers were killed. Most of these killings were observed by witnesses to be suspiciously targeted, not just war zone flying shrapnel or stray fire accidents. Workers driving well-marked aid vehicles, stepping nearby to deliver it, were suddenly cut down sniper style, absent nearby firefights, fusillades. Big bombs and missiles also often landed by amazing coincidence precisely on their doomed heads, en route to destinations cleared in advance by omnipresent IDF forces. Netanyahu's spokesman stressed nothing but support for all aid efforts. Never mind their total withdrawal of financial support for the vast 13,500 worker UN operation with little to replace it, and refusing entry of most aid trucks until 7,000 are now backed up for weeks in Egypt and Israel. Often the trickle finally allowed entry are blocked by furious Jewish mobs certain that Hamas will loot them all while planning another invasion. High officials in the militant Israeli government advocate 100% food, water, medicine, and power cutoff until all Gaza starves or Hamas surrenders. One wonders about the thoughts, plans, and actions of IDF helicopter pilots and gunners loaded and ever resupplied with air-to-ground smart missiles and automatic weapons. In their magnified viewfinders, the hated Arab aid workers busy improving survival and medical conditions for Palestinian civilians while Hamas lurked below, waiting perhaps to steal everything. On April 1st, 2024, tragic savagery from the air put most questions about similar murders of 200 previous aid workers and all doubts about assassination of another 7 on April Fool's Day to rest. Chef Andres' assistants drove 3 small non-military vehicles directly away from one of his field kitchens on a supply errand. Large World Central Kitchen logos were painted on each metal roof, 100% for the interest and knowledge of the Flying Overhead Military. Approved organization, peaceful mission, don't shoot. The IDF Air Force appreciated the notice. The lead vehicle's rooftop World Central Kitchen 18-inch bright disc precisely disintegrated, emitting 1,000 miles an hour fireball, frying and shredding the occupants. The second vehicle slammed to a stop, riders leaping out in horror to render aid they knew would be hopeless. More missiles were perfectly timed to nail that vehicle and kill the couple emerging. Seconds later, sitting duck vehicle 3 disintegrated, completing the fully programmed 100% kill operation. Misdirected targeting accident, excused an IDF spokesman. The one person on Earth 1% believing this cynical lie. Right. Multiple missiles Oops, we didn't mean it. Absolute powers, absolute corruption includes murder of mercy and laughing about the transparent lie, cleverly designed to drive World Central Kitchen permanently out of Gaza, as they attempted to disable the giant UN aid operation. Of course, all aid organizations had to stop all deliveries. Bingo! History's most effective 6 missiles. You'll notice my theme becoming modern weaponry's certain destruction of all Earth's physical human life. But first, the ethical, spiritual, mind and heart bestialization of the sellers, buyers, deployers, and triggermen. America has delivered smart missiles and bombs to 100 war zones. But don't forget that the larger, dumber versions are vastly more lethal. The smart weapon buyer may target tanks or jets and kill groups of enemy ground troops and even fly one through an office window into the open mouth of their 5-star general enemy. Just don't assassinate innocent civilians out of hate or your idea of clever strategy. That would be wrong, illegal, and evil. But you can, and who's gonna stop you except an enemy with even more savage weapons? Yeah, you're listening to the outlaw all nasty weapons and attack armies nut. The entire achievement of my border defense is only treaty. Take napalm, originally sold to fry an enemy's jungle hiding places. It was quickly discovered to glue thousands of degrees of burning gel to human skin, rapidly eating fire into muscles and organs. Great! Let's burn 1 million Vietnamese to death, including a small percentage of actual willing combatants. Wouldn't that checkmate all communist fight back? Or better yet, slowly intensify their fanatical, furious revolution to victory decades later while making trillions for the weapons companies running our government and emptying our treasury? Check to see if you can Google history's most famous war photo of a naked 6-year-old Vietnamese girl running screaming away from her burning village and dead family. For over a century, billions of high-technology weapons that generals reasonably enough requested for destruction of tanks, planes, weapons depots, and groups of advancing soldiers, but then inevitably were mostly deliberately directed to kill 10 innocent civilians, mostly women and children, for every soldier. I don't know why J. William Fulbright of Absolute Power Corrupts Absolutely fame did not write what his dictum describes and makes us responsible for stopping. At any time throughout his book, The Arrogance of Power, which told the 1950s and 60s arms and war race power corruption story. Totally genocidal weaponry and militaries capable of 10 Earth populations' murder will. Governments permitting weaponeer and fossil fuel sellers' bribery of leaders to destroy humanity for war tax trillions and pollution non-regulation will. Men given 100 ways of armed torture and murder of any and all soldiers and civilians in 100 nations that we can find reasons to invade or proxy invade will. What can go wrong, because we pretend to legalize and build and deploy it all to go wrong, will. The point, the antidote to commercial, military, hateful Parkinson's law is old and new human law. Don't build, sell, deploy, and inflict genocide wrong. All human, indeed animal life law is to oppose and defeat danger for safety, happiness, love, and long life. Outlaw with enforcement military, technological, and politically dangerous opportunity that will go wrong. Outlaw it so it won't. Not in our fond hopes of new ethics and wisdom, but because we ensured that it legally, politically, financially, and physically can't go, make, buy, sell, and explode wrong, weaponized murder. Sorry, God, but thou shalt not kill remains monumental spiritual impotence without every human war follower and weapon buyer becoming a peace and disarmament lawmaker and leader. Please help and inspire us to worship each other. Bombs can't hurt you, only kill all of us. And we need to be our own mortally imperiled human gods of physically active, not just spiritually sweet love. Will you allow us a little competitive argument? Human law with physical enforcement is the only way any species on any planet enshrines God's law. We ask way too much of immortal spirit, and you ask way too little of humans you gave infinite love, character, sense, ethics, logic, defense, family, society, physical help and harm power, and wild desire and need for the best helping, caring, protecting, happy lives we can collaborate on. Yes, that absolute worst we can do, evil power, corrupts absolutely. To vicious circle are made savage minds and hearts to boom ever worse absolute power, to one day soon torture and ruin us first before killing us all. So thank God and each other that we're getting together to plot good, great, wise, loving, lawful power for human protection, safety, and mutual care. Such absolute heaven on earth, never 100% reachable, but day by good citizen, we're working on it. Our goal is the absolute effect, whenever possible, for love. Let's define as help. Ending militarism and tyranny, defined as hurt. Fulbright's absolute power was military. My examples of smart missiles, TNT, and nuclear bombs that insane and evil aggressors can't help aiming at babies and 100-year-olds are commercial, thieving, hating, military corruption. 70 years nuclear arms race and world conventional war directly followed from weaponeer businessmen moonlighting at the top of President Harry Truman's cabinet. Less than 2 years after World War II demobilization, they schemed in their National Security Memorandum 68 to twist public government with private cash to buy and sell World War again, very fast and very permanently. Seconds from doomsday, you must outlaw private to public corruption to infinitely grow arsenals and instead outlaw and destroy those weapons and giant armies which always corrupted our ethics evil. Killed 1 billion over war's 10 millennia, 300 million through our last terminal century, and without our best war for peace fight back, is about to kill 8 billion at once, dead. No matter how nasty and scary our subject, I don't think I should end a tough but still constructive, hopeful speech with the word dead. But enough of what I think. What do you think, love? In 1994, the Rwandan Hutu ethnic group and political force conducted a 4-month massacre of ethnic Tutsis, killing close to 1 million. The gun and bullet scarcity didn't slow them down. Everyone had or could easily buy a machete. A couple of hard swings into a slender neck's carotid artery and jugular vein takes care of business mighty quick. Historians note that propaganda lies spread inventing huge malice and imminent murderous Tutsi attack spurred Hutus to their genocide. An author's new book about this and more recent massacres took as its title a terrifying, actual, fateful message from Rwanda's heart of darkness. We wish to inform you that tomorrow we will be killed with our families. The author was interviewed on NPR. During the build-up to the one-sided civil war, a UN peacekeeping force was sent in, but its forces, range, and mandate were entirely insufficient to stop the slaughter. U.S. President Clinton loudly decried the killing as it happened, but like the other 194 nations leaders and the United Nations, he determined that no intervention to stop the Holocaust would happen. Tut, tut, bad boys. How sad! Anarchy, hate, lies, propaganda, machetes, hundreds of thousands of machetes. What can you do? Certainly not international rescue and machete disarmament. End of story. No, there's more. Author Philip Gorovitch noted that through 30 more years of civilian genocide since, perpetrators and victims alike have learned to expect ever-diminishing international attempts at rescue intervention. Guilty of not having read his book with reasons why world apathy increases, I will comment that since its inception, UN peacekeeping armies have discouraged a number of rampaging armies, commendably halting at least 1% of otherwise world no-government anarchy slaughter. As World Weapons to the Moon Incorporated keeps exploding business, any doubled UN force will rescue another 1%. Easy. No wonder I hammer my theme. The only peace law or intervention worth a damn goes after 99.9% of the goddamn weapons, not 1% of armed anarchy. Then our little international peace army's 1% as big will rule. Right? I get 100% of my new love, world treaty law, from my insomnia's all-night NPR true horror movies. Our treaty outlaws any weapon capable of killing millions in seconds. Melt machetes. Can't hack through jungles at a run or chop frozen meat into steaks with mighty sharp blows. Tough titties. Now, until we get to the 100th, 1,000th, and 1,000,000th massacre force left on this miserable planet, mass killing will go on sweeping through nation after nation in exact proportion to the total available slashing, shooting, and huge kabooming murder machinery sold, bought, and in our hot little hands. Suppose the treaty to fix everything that I demand that you hammer down in 5 years actually takes 20 years. Meantime, let's go through the UN, though this will make you tear your hair out. The UN's primary outrage, big dog tyranny, and utter impotence is the Permanent Security Council members' single veto power of any critical, forceful, enforceable humanity protection action. France and England rarely oppose gigantic world nation majorities demanding any war ceasefire, combatant halt by force, or authoritative powerful relief aid rescue. But the United States, China, and Russia, primary weaponeers exploding both sides of 95% of all wars, have and will always veto 95% of all Security Council 14-1, 13-2, and 12-3 votes to merely back up hundreds of General Assembly 170-25 votes that already United Nations for peace, life-saving, justice, and any important emergency world need. So now let's open a window to the sunshine solution. That insane, corrupt, warmongering UN charter planting 5 crowned kings, ending world peace or international democracy can be amended, reversed, added to, or totally overruled. Even that permanent 5 members, single veto, total murder of any United Nations, with a 2/3 vote of the General Assembly, plus a 9 of 15 nation approval from the Security Council. Dear God, we're ready with mere majority world yes votes to stop a high percentage of war. How? Because it is inconceivable that today 2/3 of world nations, 3/4, 9/10, and 95% do not utterly hate and reject the UN Charter, UN murder. That one of 195 nation veto power of what up to the other 194 screamed for. And I told us exactly how only 2/3 could get rid of it. Hallelujah! Except I'm kidding. I lied. Did you forget that all 9+ vote majority Security Council passages are nullified when any of the no votes are cast by England, France, the US, Russia, and China, who set up their UN, making them 10,000-year kings until they voluntarily relinquish their crowns, which the bloody fools will when their arms race business dooms us all in 20 minutes to 20 years. They hammered the same deal with their non-proliferation treaties, sharing nuclear power in return for a promise to ban the bomb. They lied. I opened that window to the sunshine of your hopes and dreams for a reason, so I could slam it back down on your teeth. In truth, us knocking UN warrior tyranny teeth out even decades in the future, they designed to forever fail from the day they invited 185 nations to submit to the 5 most committed to the war business. Your United Nations, first announced by all for disarmed peace and international justice. Trust us. And my peacekeeping so far essay moral lesson: they screw us. For the job done right, your turn.